Welcome to session number 3. We are diving right into preparing your baby's fresh baby food. Let's go over the items needed for today's session. First of all, of course, you need your fresh produce. Today we're working with carrots and sweet potatoes, so go ahead and grab those. We need a colander, 2 pots or pans. We definitely need 2 pots. Fill those with water and go ahead and get those boiling. You need to prepare your oven, preheated to 400. And then have 2 pans. It could be any type of ceramic bowl that's oven safe, or even cookie sheets. We are going over both the boiling and the baking methods of preparing your baby food. So let's go over it. You need a cutting board, knife or knives, some pans or ceramic oven safe bowls, a colander, of course your sweet potatoes and your carrots. We need 2 pots. Go ahead and bring those to a boil, and we are getting right into it. Let's go. Okay, so starting off with washing and preparing our vegetables. I actually got this colander from Target for about $20, and I absolutely love it because we are able to open and expand it based on your sink size. It's super convenient, and I absolutely love that option. All right, let's go ahead and get those washing. Let me grab my knives and my cutting board. And of course, like I mentioned, our oven is preheated to about 350 to 400. And our pots are boiling with water almost about halfway full. Alrighty, we have our carrots, and I've already washed my carrots, but I'm gonna go ahead and rinse them off again. Awesome. Alright, we have our carrots. Grab your sweet potatoes. I'm doing about 6 carrots and about 2 or 4 sweet potatoes. So 2 carrots, 6 carrots, and 2 sweet potatoes. All right, let's start off with our sweet potatoes. So I actually have 2 sweet potatoes going on in the oven now, and I'll show you how to prepare those for our bake option, and then we will do some boiling. So we'll start off with our 2 sweet potatoes, and what I typically do is I just make a few slits in my sweet potatoes to create some passages for that heat to flow through. I know some people who take a fork and, kind of stab through your sweet potato or your baked potato. Either way works. I like to do the slits. So I'm slitting mine. All right. And typically I grab some foil. Grab your foil. And you can wrap your sweet potatoes just any type of way into that foil. And that way your heat is getting trapped into your sweet potato and you're good to go. So you're gonna go ahead and grab those 2 sweet potatoes. Let's put those in the oven so that those are preparing while we work on everything else. So 2 of our sweet potatoes are in the oven about 350 to 400. And let's do about 30 minutes. We only have 2 of those. Let's go ahead and prepare our sweet potatoes for to be boiled. You can actually cut them in any way you would like. It doesn't have to be pretty by any means. I like to just kind of slice mine. That way they can boil easily. It does not have to be pretty. We just want to get the job done. And I can show you 2 options. I tend to leave the skin on my sweet potatoes. They say that There's a lot of nutrients in the skin, so if you would like, you're more than welcome to skin your sweet potatoes. So here are my two options. I do kind of like a cubed style, or in the circle round yam style. So either way works. Let's go ahead and take our sweet potatoes and put those in that boiling water. Get those going. I'm gonna actually add a little more water. And that's one thing you can always do is, kind of base it so you're not doing too much. Add a good amount and then add more water if need be. Let's go ahead and cover up those sweet potatoes so those are going. I typically do my sweet potatoes first, both in the oven or on the stove top. That way those are done. They tend to take a little longer. Alrighty, for our carrots, once again, doesn't have to be pretty. Let's just cut our carrots up. Alright, and we're tossing those into the boiling water. Awesome. I'm gonna do about 6 carrots, so cut in any way necessary. The smaller the cut, the faster the boil. So just keep that in mind. Awesome, we are boiling both our carrots and our sweet potatoes. Let's finish these up. Now, let's talk about why the boiling first bake method. Typically, when you boil, studies have shown that boiling produce tends to take some of the nutrients out of that vegetable. So some do choose to bake instead. I'm losing carrots here. Some do tend to bake instead, and that is just fine. Both options work. It's still healthier than any of the food that you would be purchasing online or in the store with that long shelf life. All right, so I have these at about medium to high at a boil. Those will stay there, and we'll continue to check on those until finished. All righty. And as my grandma says, clean as you go. It makes everything flow a little easier. Okay, so we have baked our sweet potatoes. Remember, we wrapped them in our foil, so let's go ahead and open that foil up. And we can remove the sweet potatoes. And we're keeping our cutting board out. All right, so I tend to gently split my sweet potatoes and open them right on up. And when you bake, this is an option if you wanted to go ahead and take the skin off. It peels off easily there. But once again, like I said, I keep the skin on. Actually proven that it provides a little more nutrients when the skin is on, but that's how you would do that if you would like to take that off, especially for a starter baby. Okay, so as you can see, it's already super soft from being baked. You don't even have to really cut it, but if you wanted to slice it thinly, you can do that. Small slices. Alrighty. And of course, we don't want to waste any sweet potato. Alright, so we have our food processor here. Let's go over just the food processor really quick in case you're not familiar. We have, we'll just slide it, rotate it to the right and open it. Alright, so this black thing is actually a side scraper. So if you ever have any produce on the sides, you can kind of rotate it and it'll take it off so we're not wasting. But I go ahead and I add my sweet potatoes in there and I kind of just distribute it evenly. Alright. Now, typically, I add the top back on and I do one quick round of pulsing, and then I add my water so that we know our consistency. So let's go do a pulse. There we go, make sure it's snapped on. Alright, so depending on consistency, if your child is a stage 1 where they are just now starting off with fresh fruits and vegetables, you will start off with more of a looser consistency. If they've already dived in and they're used to oatmeals and thicker produce, then you can aim for a thicker consistency. So it's all about your preference. Now we can open this back up. Okay, we have our side scraper, kind of get that off of there. And I always have a measuring cup handy. I normally use some of the boiled water or some bottled water, and that way you can just have it accessible to pour into. I also know some parents who use both maybe breast milk, and they'll add that into the vegetable. So I just kind of eye it out. And never put too much. It's always better to not put enough and continue to add than putting too much. So let's check this out. Alright, still a little thicker than my preference. Sometimes I just lift up that, add a little more water into there. Let's add the rest of that. Add this back in. Let's check it out. Looking good. All right, you can always check your consistency, of course, by opening your lid. And then I take a small spatula, scoop around to check out the consistency. This looks great to me. But let's just check it out to see how we can add a little more water or liquid to make that a little thinner. Let's put our top back on. Now keep in mind, I add water. I know some moms who add breast milk, and I did do that when my little was still breastfeeding. I know some moms who add chicken broth for the flavor, so it's completely up to you. Go ahead and take that off, that's important. Let's add a little more water. I just added about half a cup. Let's see. All right, I think this is the consistency we're looking for. Let's scrape that off of the sides so we're not losing any. Grab you a bowl. I have my bowl rinsed. I'm gonna remove my scraper. All right, let's remove our blade. Let's go ahead and scrape that into our bowl. Look at that consistency, so yummy, so yummy and delicious. Now, why do I scrape it into a bowl instead of going ahead and jarring it? Just in case, especially because I leave the skin on, I put it in a bowl so that I can kind of just look around in there. If there are any extra larger pieces of skin, then I can remove those, but this is looking amazing. If there's any extra chunks, you can catch those at this point. Check that consistency, and we are amazing. So let's go ahead and jar it. We have our jar. Rinse that out. All right, our carrots, they are now done being boiled. The way you can tell that they are finished is you can just stick a utensil inside. If it goes straight through, they're nice and soft and ready. Go ahead and open our processor. And once again, evenly distribute. All right, mommies, thank you so much for joining. We now have our fresh sweet potatoes and our fresh carrots. So delicious, the perfect texture. Let's go ahead and let your little ones dive in. I'm super excited and looking forward to hearing how your process went, how easy you followed the video, and how much your little one enjoyed the food. Thank you so much for joining. See you in 2 weeks.